All right, former Vice President, possible 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden is denying allegations of inappropriate behavior. The latest is from a former Democratic nominee for Nevada Lieutenant Governor, Lucy Flores, is accusing him of smelling her hair and then kissing her back and her head when he was campaigning for her in 2014. Now, what does this mean for his political future? Let's ask our political panel. Trump 2020 Advisory Board member Madison Desiota. We've got Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlow and Republican strategist Evan Siegfried. We should point out that the Biden campaign has denied this, said it knew nothing about trouble at the time this was made. A spokesman for Vice President Biden releasing a statement saying, in part, neither then nor in the years since did he or the staff with him at the time have any inkling that Ms. Flores had been at any time uncomfortable, nor do they recall what she describes. All right, Madison, what do you think?
You know, I think this is going to be the beginning of a long list of attacks that we're going to see against Biden. He's definitely leading in many of the polls when it comes to the Democratic nomination, and I think a lot of Democrats aren't happy about this. Some people see him as being too moderate, although I do think his views probably align with more of the Democratic Party than some of these far-left candidates that we're seeing. I don't think he's ultimately going to be the nominee. I don't think this necessarily is going to be the reason why he's not the nominee, but this and other attacks will play a part in that.
You know, when it comes to the same week where the former vice president was apologizing for his behavior regarding Anita Hill and the confirmation hearings of Clarence Thomas, but even Anita Hill came out and said, well, essentially, thanks for nothing. So I'm wondering whether he's going to have a problem with the Me Too movement, with women in general. What do you think?
I think that whoever is the Democratic nominee will get the support of the Democratic Party. But this is going to be a primary with 15-plus candidates in it once all is said and done. And I think that the fact that this is coming from another Democrat is a real shot across Joe Biden's bow. That's not a conversation about, coming from the right-wing machine. This is a young, upstart Latina Democrat writing in The Cut, a liberal publication that, all my friends read, saying, I'm in no way accusing him of doing anything sexually inappropriate, but I'm talking about being disrespected, being treated not as a peer when I'm an elected official.
Well, but he had a history of this, right?
There are many pictures.
Ash Carter's wife, I'm not talking the kind of thing that, would be assault, but it's the kind of stuff that obviously made them uncomfortable.
But the Me Too movement is complex, and a lot of the charges that were made against powerful men were not necessarily about sexual assaults, but saying created a workplace culture where I could not advance, where I felt uncomfortable, where I didn't feel like I could do my job. I felt belittled. And those are very serious things that certainly as young women we know about that exist in the workplace and in life generally. So I do think it is serious for him to take it on and address it, and it will be a complication to his run.
Usually, Evan, what you always hear in politics, where there's smoke, there's fire, there's other people come out with allegations and all that. And I'm wondering if this is a concerted effort on the part of maybe the extreme left to take out someone who could arguably be their best shot at taking down Donald Trump. What do you think?
There are several candidates who would love to see Joe Biden not enter this race. Joe Biden takes up the older Democratic primary voters. They're behind him pretty solidly, and you see Bernie and Beto fighting for younger voters. I think right now we're also seeing there's a litany of evidence of Joe Biden doing this. Remember, there's the famous picture of him with giving a back rub to a biker girl in Pennsylvania. And when Republicans said this when he was vice president, said, hey, this is a little creepy and a little off, Democrats dismissed it. And it's going to be interesting to see how Democrats respond now, especially since since he's no longer vice president and there are other alternatives for them to go with. I think this is also going to be the first question he gets, or one of the first questions he gets, in that Democratic debate should he enter. And then it'll go to, well, you also have done this. This is a history. Why should we have you as the standard bearer of our party if we're going to have you
yeah, but I'm just thinking of Donald Trump and some of his past. He's hardly Pope Francis, but all I'm arguing is that would be an interesting exchange.
But it helps Donald Trump if Joe Biden's the nominee, because it really takes Donald Trump's the accusations against him off the table, and it actually gives Donald Trump a chance to make a nickname.
Joe Biden has never been credibly accused of sexual assault. Donald Trump has 16, 17 women that are doing that and still stand by their claims. So I don't think it takes it off the table.
But if you get him off, you're arguably someone who polls the best to take on Donald Trump, and you can sort of nip him in the bud. That is Joe Biden. Who are they left with?
A lot of these far-left candidates may do great in the primary, but when it comes to November 2020, I don't think they're going to have a shot at beating President Trump. I think someone like a Joe Biden or like a Sherrod Brown, who says he's not entering the race, but there were rumors that he may enter, they, I think, may have done better. against President Trump. So I think the Democrats are making a big mistake attacking their moderate candidates.
Where do women go? Are they, in at least the Democratic Party, are they in the camp that says, we want a firebrand, we don't want a white guy? Where are they?
Well, the number one quality that Democrats are looking for in their nominee is ability to beat Donald Trump. And if you look at the 2018 midterms, we elected moderates all over the country.
So will they be nervous if they take out a guy who, on paper, has the best shot of doing that?
I think there are some who feel that way. I don't think it's necessarily based on gender either. There are a lot of women, especially African-American women, that are all about Kamala. And already in her camp, she's racking up endorsements. South Carolina looks like it's leaning her way there. I think what's more important for the party is that everything is out there before he makes a decision about jumping in, because he also has a long legacy to preserve here. And I don't think that anyone wants to see Joe Biden have that kind of difficulty when he is someone who is universally revered and respected and liked.
But the Trump campaign would welcome a development like this that takes out conceivably their greatest threat.
Yeah, the Trump campaign should be welcoming this, because you're seeing Democrat on Democrat violence. And remember, the Trump campaign didn't win in 2016. Hillary Clinton lost. She blew a winnable election. And I think the Trump campaign recognizes very smartly that what they have to do is drive up the negatives of whomever the eventual Democratic nominee is going to be, so that while women might not be voting for Donald Trump, they stay home, or other key voting blocks.
Yeah. Women are not staying home.
But that's what they're going to try and do.
Well,
and I think that you're going to see all the other Democratic candidates during the primary are actually aiding and abetting Donald Trump, because they're going to be attacking one another. There's a concerted effort to go after each and every one.
I don't think in any way, shape, or form that the president or the president's campaign would encourage women to stay home. We want women getting out there to vote and voting on policies that they think best affect their lives, their communities.
For the president, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and when you look at Ohio, economically, we've had a great positive effect on the lives of women across my state and many other states. And so I think that's something that we continue to push and hope that women will take account of.
There is new national polling out that shows how underwater President Trump is with women, even worse than in 2016, when he didn't do as well with them as perhaps another Republican.
But I think you'll even acknowledge it's early, right? There are plenty of graphics packages we have to work on.
That is true. There are many chyrons to come.